Well, due to popular demand, today I'm going to talk about how I work a full-time 9 to 5 job, travel Australia, live in a van, and create YouTube content. Some of you have been asking me about how I manage it, my work setup, the equipment that I use for both my job and my YouTube content creation, so let's get into it. So let's start off by talking about my 9 to 5, my full-time job, because that is what I prioritise. It is what funds my lifestyle and gives me more income than YouTube and my artwork business. So that's what I need to make sure I get done first. When I first started van life, I spent about the first 9 months just living off savings. And I knew that I really wanted to keep this lifestyle, but I needed to fund it somehow. So I hadn't started YouTube yet, so I went looking for a job and I wound up getting one in finance, and I do sort of finance and operations for a global group. And when I looked for this job, I'm a believer in manifestation and what you create the world that you want to live in. So I wrote down a list of things that I wanted out of this job, and my first non-negotiable was 100% remote work. So I am lucky that finance is an industry where you can do that. It's certainly not a really easy thing to find, and especially because the second thing on my list was a certain industry that I wanted to work in, and that was almost another non-negotiable for me. So I put those two things down, and the next things were more based around the work environment that I wanted to be in, because I hadn't really necessarily been in work environments that were that great for me in the past. I sort of felt like I had struggled to prove myself all the time, and so anyway, I sort of wrote down a list of things I wanted out of the people I worked with and the sort of work environment I was in, and I've literally got the job that I've got everything that I listed in that list is in this job. So not only is it the industry that I want, it's 100% remote, there is flexibility with it too. So it's pretty much that as long as you get the work done, they don't really track the hours, you're more sort of, managing yourself. So, and for me, that's great for me, because I've been a business owner. I'm obviously a bit of an achiever. I want to try and create things in life and do things in life. So I've had my own bookkeeping business before. I've had a retail business before. So I know what I need to do to keep things running and working efficiently. And so because I also work for a global group, sometimes I might have Teams meetings at 6 a.m, I might have some at 9 p.m. So I'm dealing with people all over the globe, but most of the people in Australia I work with are over east. So a lot of the time I actually like to try and get started about 6 a.m, because I'm generally up pretty early anyway in van life. So if I get started earlier, it means that I can then have the afternoon free to do what I want to do, or I can take a longer lunch break. So I could take it, 2 or 3 hours for lunch, because then I can go in for a snorkel, or I can go for a quick hike, or just do other things in between. And yeah, I don't really stop. I am someone who moves around a lot. So yeah, it was really like, that's why I love this job so much, because it's not just that it's 100% remote, but it's so flexible and it just fits in with my life so well. But I do prioritise it. It's very important to me. I like to, when I do work, I want to make sure I do it to the best of my ability. So what I do for workflow is I've got my inbox, and that's my task management system. So if I'm talking to someone and they want me to do something, I'll try and ask them to send me an email about it, because then it sits in my inbox, and things that are in my inbox are things I haven't dealt with yet. So I'll leave those there, and then once I've dealt with them, I move them into other folders, and so then it's out of my realm of things I need to think about. So first thing in the morning when I turn the laptop on, I make sure I just check my emails and respond to any that are really easy to sort out and respond to straight away, or I'll move things out that are just purely for information for me and I don't need to do anything, and I've taken that information in and it can move on. So my inbox is really just, it's anything I've still got to deal with. I used to take a lot of notes, like have tasks. I'm a big list person, so I like to create lists, and I still do that for my other things. I don't so much do that for work anymore, because I've already got so many lists going on. For the equipment side of it, so I've got a Lenovo ThinkPad P14S, which was a work issued one, so it wasn't something I chose, but it's been fine. I've had it for almost 4 years now. I am just about to replace the battery in it, because I'm really only getting about 2 hours of battery life out of it. And when you live in a van and you've got to turn your inverter on more often, you're using a lot of power to do that. So I'm trying to reduce the amount of times I've got to turn my inverter on and have my 240 power working. So yeah, I'm just about to replace that battery, which is probably going to cost me about 250, but you know, over 4 years, it's not too bad. Now, I've got the laptop on stands because, well actually, sorry, let me just talk about the other screen first. So I've used this separate screen. This is a Lenovo portable screen. And I do need multiple screens because I am in finance, so I just need to work across multiple spreadsheets and programs, so it's just easier to having 2 screens. Bigger screens would be better, but not so, yeah, I've got to try and find, I don't really have the room for that in this van. So this portable screen is amazing. It flips down like that, and so I've just got a little sleeve for that. So I can actually, I've got it like a laptop backpack bag, and I use that for when I am, if I've got to put my van in for a service, or I've lost power or internet, or I've got to go somewhere else to work from for the day, and that backpack is amazing, and I can put all my equipment in there. I can fit 2 laptops in there because I can take my personal one with me, and it's just got room for everything. I can put my water bottle in there, and so that's how I deal with that if I've got to go work from somewhere else for the day. I bought these laptop stands because I'm a really big believer in ergonomics when it comes to working. So I really want my screen to be at eye height, because I think you'd be surprised at how much your head weighs. If you are just dropping it slightly to look down at something, you're going to start getting tension headaches because those muscles in your neck have to work so much harder. So I do sometimes get tension headaches coming right up through here. So yeah, I always want to make sure I've got the screen at eye height. I have a separate keyboard because I don't want my hands up like this either, because it's not good for the muscles in your wrists. I've got very dainty wrists, so if I'm using muscles I'm not normally using, I start to get problems there as well. So you should have your arms at, you know, this angle on your keyboard, and I've got a separate mouse there as well, so I'm not fluffing around. Everything is just easy to use throughout the day. And the best thing about this setup is that, you know, it's all, I can pack it away pretty quickly and set it up pretty quickly. And those stands, so I think I just got them from Officeworks. I think they're just a J Burrows one. If I think about it, I'll try and put the link in the description to this video of those. I think they, yeah, might be about $60 or something. I can't remember the cost of the computer screen equipment. I do have a Mac keyboard because I've got my Mac laptop that I use for my personal, but I do also have to make sure I've got a numerical keypad there because I'm in finance and I'm doing a lot of data entry. Now, because I am working remotely and I'm in public areas a lot of the time, and I do work in finance, so I've got to make sure that I'm keeping all of my work private. So when I've got my laptop set up, I might have my window closed behind me so people can't see what I'm working on. But I'm in a lot of Teams meetings as well, so you know, even if it's just a Teams meeting about operational procedures for the organisation, we don't want other people hearing that information. So I've bought just a little headset, and it wasn't that expensive. I think I just got it from Officeworks again, and it's got the little mouthpiece there. So there's so many things about this in the fact that it's capturing my voice mainly, and it's blocking out background noise, so people can't hear. You know, they can only hear me when I'm talking, but also no one else can hear what's being said on the Teams meeting because it's only coming through the headphones. So it's great for privacy and just being able to hear better as well, because sometimes the ocean can be very loud in itself, let alone people who want to come knocking on your door, which I do get that. I even had someone yesterday do it. My van was completely closed up and they still came and knocked on the door. So yeah, and look, you know, yeah, it's just, I feel like maybe I need to stick a sign on there to say I'm working. Please don't knock. Internet access is obviously something else that I need to worry about too. So, well, 240 power. So when I first got my van, I made sure that I had an inverter installed because I need to make sure I've got the 240 power to charge my laptops. So sometimes you can just buy a van that has a battery in there, but it might only be for DC power, which is, you know, to charge via a USB, which you can't do for a laptop. You need to have those 3-pronged plugs that you would use in a house. So that's 240 power. So I had a full inverter setup done in my last van. when I bought this van, it still had all the electrical, but they'd set it up more for shore power, which is where you go to a caravan park and you're plugging it into the mains power. So I explained to them, I said, no, sorry, I'm off grid a lot of the time, so I need an inverter set up. So we installed the inverter into this one as well, so that I make sure I've got all that power at any time. Now for internet access, when I started, I used to just use my phone as a like to hotspot to my phone for internet access. It became apparent though that I was using a Mason because it's the cheapest, and they're just great. They were great for me for years, but they use the Optus network, and it just anyone, like, if you're not familiar with Australia and its reception, it's got terrible, block out points. Like, there's so many areas that we just don't get good reception or any reception at all. So I just had to make sure that I went with Telstra because it's got the best coverage. They are also the most expensive, and they're probably the worst to deal with for customer service. So hot tip, I did just find out recently, and I changed over to JB Hi-Fi. So JB Hi-Fi, you can go there. They'll still create a Telstra account for you, but you deal with them, and it's actually cheaper than the Telstra plans. So it's not like significantly cheaper, but it is cheaper with JB Hi-Fi. And so I was using my phone to hotspot, and I didn't realise that, so there were like, sometimes I'd be in like really hot places, and if you're hotspotting on your phone starts to heat up. So there were times I'd actually have to put my phone in the fridge to try and cool it down. And so not only was that a problem, but it was also running down the life of my battery on my phone. I didn't really think about that when I started, because I'm obviously using a lot of data, not only with work, with just being online, but also the Teams calls and the video calls, and then I'm uploading to YouTube as well. So yeah, when I started to upload to YouTube, I think that's when it became a big problem. So then I just bought a little dongle thing like this from Telstra, and I think it was about $60. And so then you would just pay like $10 for a separate SIM, and it would still share the data, the same data usage with your phone, but it was just a separate SIM. So that was fine, and then I've just upgraded to a TP-Link one because that was a work requirement that I had to change the device for various reasons. So I've just got a little TP-Link one, and I think that was about $100. And once again, it's just like a little separate SIM you put in there, but it uses the same account. So that's great. It means it's not running down the battery life of my phone now. So I mainly use that when I'm in, city areas and I've got reception. I mainly will use that one. But if I'm uploading to YouTube, I try and pull out Starlink. So Starlink's been great, and I have done a separate video on Starlink and this little dongle and things like that, so I'll try and link that in this video. Now, when I bought Starlink, you can get the Starlink Mini, which is this one, or you can get one where it's just for your household use. So this one here is your Roam package. So when I first bought Starlink, I was an early adopter, so I paid like $800 for this thing. So yeah, that was a bit of a bummer because they cost like anywhere between $200 or $300 now for the actual hardware. Now, when I first started, the cost was, I think it was $80 a month for 50 gig of data. A couple of months ago, they sent through an email to say, we're upping your data now to, I think it was like 100 gig of data. And I was like, oh, that was nice of them to do that for free. That was great. And then like about a month ago, I got another email to say they've increased the cost of the monthly fee now. So yeah, not so nice. So I actually think the cost has now gone up to like $100 or $110 a month, something like that. Now, FYI, if you are looking at Starlink, there is a link in the description of this video, and if you click on that link, you'll get 1 month free and I'll get 1 month free. So that'd be great if you are going to sign up, if you could use that link, because I have saved myself a lot of money, and it does help to contribute to all this, content creation I'm doing, because I don't make a lot through YouTube AdSense. So anyway, I digress. It has been amazing. So it means now that I can go more off-grid, because even Telstra has its limitations for service access. So the only thing with the Starlink I'm finding is trees are an issue. So I obviously like to be amongst forests a lot. So It's been a bit of a bummer because if there's too much tree coverage, you can't access the satellites with this. So, but in saying that, when I went northern Western Australia, where it's more shrubland, it was so great because I could still be driving, you know, because you can sometimes drive for hours without cell reception in Australia. So I could have this plugged in just with a DC plug to my cigarette lighter and have it sitting on the dash of my car, and it works through the window. And so I still had phone reception the whole drive, so I could still play my music and listen to podcasts and take calls. So yeah, it's been really good for that. Yeah, so that's my internet access and what I do there. So when it comes to the actual desk itself, in my previous van, I had a pretty big desk setup, and well, for a van, it had a separate office chair, like a proper office chair. In this van, it's different. I've got a desk that's movable and I don't have a proper ergonomic, you know, office chair to sit in. So it is important to make sure that you are set up right, like especially if you're spending hours at a time in front of a desk. This one here, I did have a Lagoon table leg in my last van, but I didn't really use it for work setup. This one here, so a Lagoon table leg can move around in so many different ways. It's really good. So it means that I can sit here and I could like sit in that seat and look out at the ocean that way. I can actually sit here on my couch with my legs crossed, which I couldn't really do in my office chair at the last one. But it doesn't really have the same like seat setup that the last one had. So when you're sitting, you want to make sure that your back is supported. But if I was to sit back with the back here, my feet are off the ground, so it's not good for my legs because you need to have your legs supported with your feet on the ground or on a footstool. Don't want to go buying a footstool because it's just another thing in the van. So I can put a cushion behind me and sort of sit more forward so that my feet are on the ground. It's still, the size of this desk space here is a little bit smaller than my last one, but it's still fine. Like, it's still no problem at all. I can still fit everything on here. I haven't done any artwork on here yet, but it'll still be fine for that size. So yeah, I think it's important to make sure that your back is supported, that your feet are on the ground, and you've got enough space for you to be able to put everything that you need on that desk space.
To 17 new problems, blowing up my phone. Oh yeah, yeah, you know that if you let them, they'll try to break your soul. So I put on my robe and pour some coffee, turn off my notifications. The sunshine pouring through the window, sends some problems on vacation. You gotta roll with it, just roll with it. Just gotta go with it, just go with it. Whole life is gonna spin out of control.
Okay, now for YouTube. How do I fit that in? I don't know. So I started YouTube coming up on 3 years ago now. I actually started after I went on a trip to Kyrgyzstan with a YouTuber who had about 500,000 or 600,000 followers at the time. Davud, I can't pronounce his last name, he's from Azerbaijan. But I sort of was picking his brain when I was there, and sort of, you know, he wasn't filming while we were on this expedition, but he was still quite happy to give information on what he'd learnt along the way. So he gave me some really good tips. And when I got back to Australia, after that trip, I had planned to cross the Nullarbor for the first time. So I just used my phone and I just was filming, you know, even though I did have a GoPro, I don't know why I didn't use it. I think I was just sort of thinking of my GoPro as an underwater camera, so I wasn't really using it on land. And so I was just using my phone for the first good while through YouTube. And really, I've just been learning a whole new skill. Like this, you know, I wasn't really one for content creation. I think when I first started van life, I was doing a little bit of TikTok, a little bit of Instagram, but I don't know, like short form content's just not really my thing. I really, really loved the long form content. And so I really didn't know anything about cameras or creating on social media. It's just been this massive learning curve. And I have watched a lot of YouTube videos about different techniques to use, and I will watch people that I aspire to, and I sort of really take note on their camera angles and things like that. So it can be done just with a phone. You don't really need all the expensive equipment, and I've sort of just invested in mine as I've gone along. But let's first talk about the workflow. So when I first started, I've always committed to one video a week. The length of that video can vary. I really was doing like 10 to 15 minute videos before, but I'm really trying to extend those videos now to about at least 25 minutes if I can. So one video a week, there was a time there, or a couple of times I've done 2 videos a week just to really try and, try to get a bit, really get going a bit more on YouTube. But it's not that sustainable. You do reach burnout pretty quick, especially working full time, traveling, creating art, and I've been creating my own website and all of this. So like 2 videos a week just burns me out. So yeah, I'm sticking to 1 video a week. If I didn't have my job, and I hopefully will get to a point at some stage where, I can transition to full-time content creation. And at that stage, I think I will go back to at least 2 videos a week, if not 3. But the workflow I've got for the moment is, it is sustainable, and I feel much more at peace about it because it gives me downtime as well. And I think I didn't really realise how much downtime I'd actually needed until I started to take some. So I will generally film either in the afternoons, late in the afternoons after work, or I will film on the weekends. And when I'm editing, I can do that at night. Although sometimes if I've had a really busy work day, and it's been very busy with work lately, the flow with work sort of ebbs and flows a lot. So if I've had like a bit of a slow week, I feel much more energetic at night to be able to do video editing. But if I've had a busy week, I'm a bit brain fried by the end of the day. So sometimes it can just be late afternoons or weekends I'm doing the video editing. If I find that if I am in travel mode, I'm filming a lot more, so I can get a bit of a backlog going, which is kind of good because I do like to be a couple of weeks in advance with my videos. I'm not at that point at the moment because I've been sitting still for so long, so then I'm trying to think more about educational videos to create while I'm here rather than travel videos. So that's sort of when I fit it in. With the video editing, it depends on the type of video as to how long it's going to take me. If I'm doing a video like this, I can get that knocked out within, an hour or 2, no problem. But if I'm doing a travel video where I've got to include footage from all my different cameras, I've got to find the right music, I might have to do some, scripting and doing talkovers, find my words. So if there's a lot of different elements to it, drone footage, things like that, then it takes a lot longer. So it can take me just to sort of cut the footage back into a timeline that works well. That could take me a couple of hours, but then it might take me another couple of hours to find the right music and do all the other extra editing that I need to do. If I'm adding B-roll in, once again, so B-roll is just like if I'm talking and then you've got other footage going over me talking here now, that's B-roll. And so adding that in as well just creates another layer of work. So I do it all myself. I don't outsource any of it because it's just too hard to do that, because then you have to sort of upload all of that footage to the cloud or somewhere else that they can access it. And it takes so long to upload. And so I actually don't upload a lot of stuff onto the cloud. I actually keep backups, which I'll get into in a minute. So I do pay for a music subscription. I pay for my Adobe Creative Cloud because I actually have done part of a graphic design and advertising degree, so I can use Photoshop, I can use InDesign, all these different programs with Adobe, and I've started to use, obviously I use Adobe Pro to edit my videos. I can use Lightroom sometimes to create thumbnails. So there's a lot of Adobe programs that I'm using, so I do pay a monthly subscription for that as well. I pay my YouTube subscription, which I don't have to do. You don't have to have that, but I do. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be as complicated as I've made it, but because I'm a creative, I want to create mini movies, so I want to do it, I have a vision and I want to try and achieve that vision. I I don't just want to sit there and talk in front of a camera. I've got this, you know, grand plan of what I want to try and create. So it does take extra work. As far as my equipment goes, so I talked a little bit about backups and uploading to the cloud. And like I said, like just uploading a video to YouTube can take a lot of data as it is. So I generally will have my Starlink running to upload, because that's I've got, you know, an extra 100 gig of data there, and I don't have to use my phone data. So if I do run out of phone data, I still have data there, but it just slows down, so that's good. And I have bought so backup drives. Now I've got different ones, so I just label them. Now I used to have a backup drive kind of like this one. So those bigger ones actually have a little disc in there. And as some of you know, I had all my artwork designs from Photoshop in there, which was so much work to do all of those, like so much editing. And I dropped that, and I basically couldn't access it. So I had to send it off for a repair, which cost me $1,600 to get all that back. Good news is I got it all back, but that was a costly exercise. So I would suggest not getting those larger ones, backup drives that have the actual disc in there, because it's kind of like a record player. It's a disc and it's got a little needle on there, so they're a bit fragile. Whereas if you get ones like this, and I think I've got another one here that's a bit cheaper. So these are the other ones. So this one here is a bit smaller, and I just get these from JB Hi-Fi. So these are more like a little SD card in there, so they're not as fragile. Now I got these ones, but the Samsung ones are the best ones, I've been told. So they are a bit expensive. I think that was actually about $500. So I've got those different backup drives. I don't back up all of every single GoPro file. Once I've created and actually edited the video, I will keep the video and I will put that on the backup drive, and all of the different footage that I've taken gets deleted because I've used it. I've got what I need out of it. Now I just bought a fireproof bag. So I've got this from, I think I bought it online actually. So yeah, it's an Andire home and office security proof fireproof bag. So just in case, God forbid, my home explodes, I do have it in a fireproof bag. So I didn't really have the room for a box, so I've just got the bag and I keep all my backups in there. I do also have spare backups that I've left at Mum's in her safe, just as a double backup, because I don't want to have to pay $1,600 again. For filming, so what do I use for filming? Now I have a GoPro Hero 11. Now the GoPro, this is what I had originally, because I really didn't know anything about cameras. I just knew GoPro because I film underwater, so I needed an underwater camera. Now GoPro's been good. It's a great action cam. Like I've dropped it a lot of times and it's had no issues. It still works, but it has its limitations. In low light, it really doesn't film very well. It is still 4K, but I actually find that when I'm doing footage like this, I like to use my Osmo Pocket 3, which I'm filming on at the moment, because I find that the lighting's a bit softer. It's not as harsh, so you can't see as many lines on my face. Whereas the GoPro shows up a lot of detail. The Osmo Pocket 3 is actually, it's a lot more cinematic. Like the way it's making that ocean look right now is amazing, and the GoPro will look different again. I would like to upgrade though from the GoPro to the Osmo, I think it's called the Action Cam, which is basically the DJI version of the GoPro. So I do prefer DJI products because I use DJI for my drone, for my Osmo Pocket 3, my mic set. So I like to try and keep it all in the family. So my microphone set will also work with a DJI action camera, whereas my microphone set, to make it work with the GoPro, is a bit of a nightmare. You've actually got to like have this modification on your GoPro. So you'll see I've got like a casing on this one here, and so that's got a wind muffler on it, and that wind muffler actually does pretty well considering, but I'd actually have to like slide I've got to like insert a cord and everything to get the mic set to work with this, and it's just a pain. So I'd much rather just actually keep this for underwater usage and then use I use another one, a DJI one, for action. But GoPro's still great. If you've got an old GoPro, you can probably find a second-hand one online they're really good. So with my GoPro, I did get a pack at the time, so it came with a case and everything, and I've got like different parts and things that I can attach it. So I do have like a little attachment on my dashboard for my when I'm driving. I do have the floaty sort of selfie stick for when I'm in the water. I find that it's a bit short though, so it does have a flotation device on there. If I let go of it, it will float in the water like this, so you can see where it is. But I would like it to sort of extend further out from where I can hold it, so I'm trying to find a different one that will work better. I do have an Insta360 selfie stick with a tripod on the bottom, and so that's what's holding up my Osmo Pocket 3 at the moment, and that will work on my GoPro, it will work on my Osmo Pocket 3, it will even work on my camera as well. It just uses the little screw at the bottom of the camera, but it doesn't hold the weight very well, so I really need a proper tripod for that. The DJI Osmo Pocket 3 does come with a little mini tripod as well, which is really handy if you just need it to sit in a smaller spot, because the actual long Insta360 one will only go to a certain length. I do have a little attachment as well that I can put on that selfie stick for my phone. So if I wanted to do shorts, then I would just slide that into there and that will screw onto my selfie stick, and so I can just do it different ways. Okay, I do have my drone, so I love my drone. This is Molly Mel drone. I would love to say that I named it Molly Mel drone, but I didn't. That was one of my beautiful followers. So I named it Molly after a black cockatoo that I met in Denmark that was just beautiful. And then yes, a follower came up with the Molly Mel drone. Hilarious. So my drone is amazing. It is a DJI Mini. Yeah, DJI Mini. I think that's what they call it. This drone is the smallest one, so it's under 250 grams. So when you got the lighter one, anything over 250 grams, you've actually got to register. So you actually have to have a license to use it. Whereas this one, I don't need a license to use it. I can use it in more places because it's not a big commercial drone. I do still have to be careful about where I'm using it. So if I'm somewhere where there's a lot of bird life or there's bats, I won't fly it up around the birds and bats. If there are some like marine protected areas and some national parks where you can't fly it. If I was to go to Uluru, I couldn't use it there. So it's good to just research where you're going, where you can and can't use it. There have been times where I've just not known, and so you know we're all human. But yeah, I did buy little extra batteries, so I bought myself a case that I put all my batteries into that can charge them all at the same time. So I've got 3 batteries that I keep because the drone itself will last about maybe 30 minutes out away up in the air, but if it's out far enough, it'll know how far away it is from its home spot with the controller, so it will leave itself enough time to come home. So I just and look, I had no experience with drones when I started. I've just basically taught myself. I've watched a few shorts on how to do little different tricks with it. So yeah, you can send it out and it will say, okay, we've set the location where the controller is. It'll come back, but it just makes sure it leaves enough time to do it. So I did have it out over the ocean once trying to get whales, and it said it was going to run out of battery, it needs to come home, but what it didn't account for and what I didn't account for was the wind. It was very high winds, and so it was really struggling to get back to me within the time frame of before the battery died. It did come back, thank goodness, but it's just something you've got to think about. I also don't like to send it up where I can't see it. Like it's really, I actually made the mistake of sending it up through trees when I started, and once you lose sight of it, it's very hard to find yourself again on the actual drone itself through the footage, through your screen. And it has a homing beacon, but I'm a bit too scared to use it, because if I'm amongst trees and I press, come home, is it going to hit a tree on the way down and then I lose it to the tree? I don't know. So I always like to be in control of that. But it's a good one. The only thing I probably would have, I'd like to get instead of this one is the Pro version, because the Pro version will actually, it's got auto tracking. So at the moment, if I'm driving and I've got the drone following me while I'm driving, I'm still controlling the drone while I'm driving. So I only ever do that on remote roads where there's no one else around. So if I had auto tracking, I could just set it to track the vehicle and I don't have to worry about it, and I can focus more on driving. Okay, I've got to rip the glasses out so I can read what I've got here. Now, I love photography. I've always loved photography, but I've never really had the proper camera equipment for it. So I loved doing photography in high school. And I was over east and I did a video where I was doing like an interview with Fly By Night Bat Clinic, and I really wanted to get some close-up shots of the bats. So I just really knew I wanted a zoom camera. So I wound up getting a Sony AX6500, and it films in 4K, and I just got this secondhand off, must have been Facebook or something. I'm not on Facebook though, I don't know how I found it. Anyway, I found it somehow secondhand, and it cost me $1,000 secondhand. Then I had to buy the actual lens itself separately. So it came with like a smaller lens, so if I want to shoot something on here that's not from a distance away, then I will put the smaller lens on there. So this is I went and spoke to JB Hi-Fi, is so amazing for information. So the guy that sold this to me, he sold me a Tamron. So it's, I think you know, obviously you've got your better brands, but this one here was sort of like you're halfway in between. So I got a Tamron. I might have to link through below what the actual distance is and all, everything that's on there, because I'm 28 to 200 millimeter. There you go. This is me. I don't know too much about it, but I just aim and shoot. So that's been amazing, because I really wanted a zoom camera for wildlife, because obviously wildlife is quite a big focus on my channel, and I really wanted to be able to capture that wildlife in close up, because it's just, you know, it's more like a documentary. So I've loved it. It was the best buy I ever did. I was so glad I bought it. Once again, it's not necessary. You don't need it to have a YouTube channel, but I do love it. I'm certainly not using all the functions on it. I think that I do want to get a wind muffler, so when I can use it, you know, out in the wild, I can do that while it's still quite windy and not get blown away with the noise. I do use it for photos as well, and it's really good for photos for my artwork, because I can photograph something and then I've got that reference picture there to create the artwork from. So yeah, I think I could still use this a lot better than I am. I did buy myself a tripod for this as well, which is amazing. It is a bit of a palaver to get it out though, and I don't think I would take that tripod on a hike because it's quite heavy. So as it is, I'm already carrying my drone. This is really heavy, so it's a couple of kilos, I'm sure. And then I've got, you know, like my GoPro, all the water that I carry, different equipment. So when I'm hiking, I'm trying to reduce that weight. So the tripod, you know, I just can't take it hiking with me. In saying that, when I do zoom on film, I have to really make sure that I'm steadying the camera, because when you're fully zoomed in, any movement is going to show quite a lot. I don't mind a little bit of movement, because it sort of still, it makes it more lifelike and more real when there's a little bit of movement. But generally, if I can, I'll try and lean the camera up against something like a tree or a rock or something like that while I'm filming. If I don't have anything like that, I will actually squat down and I will put both my elbows on my knees and film that way, and that's sort of steadying it a bit more. It doesn't look that great, doesn't look very classy, but it gets the job done. I am an artist as well, and yes, I do struggle to find time to do artwork, because I really feel like I have to carve out, you know, a good couple of hours to get into it, because once you're into a piece of artwork, you want to just keep going. It's like a creative flow. Anyway, I sell my art prints on there, and I used to actually print them myself in the van, but I just found that printer, it was too big, it was too cumbersome, it was just quite stressful for me to add. So not only was I creating the artwork, I was editing it in Photoshop, I was also printing it and posting it. So that's a whole business in itself. So what I've decided to do instead, to just ease my life, I have found a really great fine art printer, and so I've set it up with them now, so if an order comes through, the print will go to them and then they will post it out on my behalf. Now, it does mean that the prints are more expensive now, unfortunately, but it just means that my life is a bit easier. So the stickers, I am rethinking the sticker process at the moment, so they will come back on board on the website, but I'm just going to do sticker packs rather than doing individuals. And I found a really great place that can print those stickers for me. I just haven't got around to doing all that yet. So for my personal business, my personal life, YouTube, it is a lot to remember of what I've got to do on top of my work, travel, filling my water tanks, finding somewhere to sleep. So to remember all these things I need to do and I want to achieve, I keep lists. I keep a notebook for all my business activities like YouTube and my website and artwork, and I keep another notebook for all my personal things that I will need to do. So just things like if I've got to do some repairs and maintenance with the van, I've got to book a service for the van or book the dentist, you know, all those sort of things. I keep lists because I'm just going to forget to do things otherwise. And I do actually find it a bit rewarding as well when you've got a list and then you can knock it off and, oh, I've done that, I've done that, I've done that. So yes, I am a big list person. I don't know how I would operate in life without my list, to be really honest. So that, my friends, is how I manage my life in a nutshell. If I am traveling, I do tend to do the longer drives on a weekend, or sometimes I might get up at 5 a.m. and just knock out a few hours driving before I find somewhere to settle and work from for the day. If there is anything you would like me to go into a deeper dive on, please let me know. I would like to start creating some online courses just to make YouTube a bit more sustainable for me, because I really don't make a lot through AdSense at this stage. So if there is anything you would like to know more about, please let me know below. I'm thinking about whether I do a van life course and just go into a deeper dive on, you know, places to go, safety tips, how to fit out a van, or whether I do something more on YouTube and go into more about what I've learnt over my 3 years creating on YouTube. Business, if you would be interested in learning more about how to create a business and make it sustainable. Anything, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your feedback on that. So thank you for watching and wishing you all many happy travels.